Hey Flosstube, it's Lori of Mischievous Stitches. I'm back again this weekend with progress on my focus pieces, a little haul, some Mania plans, and a giveaway winner. So we'll jump right on into it. My focus piece has been for the past few weeks is The Fall by Barbara Anna Designs. This is where I am at the moment. My goal was to finish the Tree of Knowledge this past week. I did get the trunk, the branches, and some of the leaves stitched on the tree. Unfortunately, I didn't finish the tree. I got sidetracked with something else that I'll share with you in just a few minutes. I do still have one side of the tree still needs leaves. There are fruit on the tree. There is banding there in the bottom of the trunk, and that is where that sneaky serpent is slithering his way around the tree trunk. And as you can see, some of these motifs are half stitched here on both sides, and that's just because there's a page break. And I am actually on the last section of the sampler, so those are the page breaks for the bottom half of this sampler, and I'm excited about that. I thought maybe I could possibly, if I pushed myself, finish it in April, but that's just not going to happen. But I'm close. I'm close. Maybe one more month of stitching or a couple weeks into that month, and I'll have it done. But I'm going to share with you the pattern picture, and this is Barbara Anna, the Fall sampler. You can find this as a download from Creative Poppy Designs or creativepoppy.com. And I downloaded this some time ago. I get questions when I show this pattern piece about the page protector. And it's because it's a download, and of course it's on printer paper, so it's not on a good thick paper or cardstock. It's just the paper I have here at home. So to protect this paper, to protect this pattern, I put my pattern pages in sheet protectors, and then I put them in a binder. So I just have a simple cheap binder, and what's inside this binder at the moment is just my Barbara Anna design. So I've got a couple other downloads that I have just to the side in a folder, and then eventually when I'm done with Barbara Anna, I'll put another one in this binder. But I do have the design saved on my computer, so when I'm actually done with the piece, I've completed the pattern, I'm just going to remove those pages, toss those away, and place the next future start inside this binder. But that's just an idea. I know I'm not the only one that does that. I'm sure that there are other stitchers out there that use this as well, but it's just a way, like I said, to keep my pattern nice and clean and crisp, and to keep the pattern from getting damaged. So there's just an idea if you've not heard about it before. I also have continued to work on Birds of a Feather by Blackbird Design. This is a stitch along that I'm doing with Becky, Socks for Mom, Jen of Jensstitchingniche, and Krista Grammar, as well as this past week Karen Macon joined in with us. And I welcome any of you that are currently stitching on this piece, which is Birds of a Feather by Blackbird Design. Join in with us. We use the hashtag Friendship Friday. We usually talking back and forth during the day, sharing a picture of where we're currently at on the piece, as well as sharing a picture on Instagram. And it just gives us that added extra push to work on this piece. We work on it every Friday evening, and I think this past Friday was our third week. So don't hesitate to join in with us if you'd like. It's not an exclusive stitch along. So here's where I am this week. I finished, when I started Friday, I completed the red stitching in this flower, which I keep calling them lollipop flowers because that's what it reminds me of when I look at the pattern. They look like lollipop flowers. But this week I finished the red stitching in this piece. I put a few colored rows in this flower, stitched a few of the letters between those two flowers, and then I continue to work on these small little 4x4 stitch squares at, here around the border, and filled in some of the motif, the little flowers and vines there on this side and this border. So I think I only stitched about 3 hours, and it seems like it feels like I didn't get much done or much completed. But when you're changing threads often and you're tying off often because you're doing 4x4 stitched squares, that's going to happen. But the beauty is sometimes just in the detail. And with Blackbird designs, it's just like that. Sometimes the beauty is just in the details. So I just bite the bullet and spent this past Friday just filling in and doing those fiddly bits of the pattern. So I will work on this again this coming Friday. I do know that this coming Friday is May 1st, but I do plan to continue working on this next Friday, and my mania will actually start on the 2nd. My third focus piece is Karoline Beringer of Summerhouse Stitchworkes, and I have a finish. This is the reason I didn't get my stitching caught up on the fall, is because I was so close to a finish on this one. I decided to pick her up in the evenings, where normally I just work on her on my lunch break. This time I decided I want her done before the end of April, and I am ready to finish her up, and so I did. So I put the last stitch in her this morning, and I think she's gorgeous. It took me a while to fall in love with her. I wasn't crazy about stitching with the wool threads, but once I just decided, okay, let's get this done. Let's get our stitches. Let's quit focusing on the threads and how they're laying. Let's just finish it up. I got it done. So I think I'm going to try something different today, and what I'm going to do is just do a short video a little later, and I'm going to showcase this piece and show her to you up close and personal, and just show you the few changes that I made and talk about her for just a second. And so if you're interested, you can take a look at that a little later. But that's Karoline Beringer by Summerhouse Stitchworkes. Now, speaking of Mania, I just did say that I will be doing Mania starting on the 2nd, because the 1st of May I will work on, and every Friday I will continue to work on Birds of a Feather, because that's what I agreed to do. And I showed you a few things I was interested in doing, stitching on for Mania, and I've changed my mind. And I changed, excuse me just a second. I changed my mind because my goal this year is to go out of the year with less whips that I've come into the year with. I also do not want to go out of the year with any starts that I have made in the current year. So anything I start in 2020, I want to finish in 2020. But I also want to have a lower whip count. With that being said, I decided to choose things that I'm going to show you in just a minute that I think that I can finish within the month of May or shortly thereafter. All of them are smalls, so I'm just going to do a little Mania, and that's what I'm going to call it, a little Mania. So I'm going to show you these things one by one. The first thing that I'm going to show you is Foxwood Crossing. It's some of the Foxwood Crossing sleighs. I have 3 different patterns here. This is Snowy Barns. This is Delia Robia sleds. Love the colors in those. And then the third one is River Road Church. And it also has a small as well. So these patterns, I bought every one of them while shopping at the Dixie Darling in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And that is the home of the designer for Foxwood Crossing. So anytime I visit, which we usually visit there once or twice a year, I always stop in and I always buy some of her patterns and some of her sleds. So these are from the past 2 visits, and I want to get them stitched up. So here is the sled, which I've done one of these before and I really like them. But this is the sled for the church, and it's called, River Road Church. And there's the sled. And then when you're at the shop and you purchase the sleds come with the perforated paper to do the patterns. So I bought the pattern, I get the sleds. So I have 6 sleds. So that there, just these sleds will give me 7 starts. I also picked up this one. This is my lady's needle. So it's an ornament. It's the Joyful Yuletide. Let me try that again. Joyful Yuletide spools. And it comes with 1 spool, so you get to choose one of these 2 patterns to stitch with. It has the fabric, it has the threads inside, everything you need to stitch 1 spool. So if you decide to stitch 2, you'll have to order another spool. And I haven't checked in that to get the information about that. But this was a gift from my friend Mary. She gifted it to us Christmas before last, so it's time I pick this up and stitch it. The other 2 were both market exclusives from last year. This is with my needle and thread. This is Ode to the Ort. I'm concerned with this one because I know that it's an over 1 piece, and I'm concerned that it will take longer than I anticipate. But like I said, if it rolls over into the following month, into June, that'll be okay, as long as I finish it within the year. So everything too is within this box. It's a kit. Well, actually not everything. It comes with the container, and it comes with the container, the design, and it also comes with a template to stitch the tiny little strawberry hanging off the front. So all the finishing supplies, the threads, the fabric is not inside, so I'll need to kit that up, and that's not a problem. So that's my 9th start. And then my 10th start is, like I said, another market exclusive from last year. And this is from Samplers Not Forgotten. And this is the Floral Cup Pincushion. There's this is the picture of the finish. And so I have all the supplies for this here, I think, with the exception of threads. Yes, with the exception of threads. I even have a little waxer in there. Oop. Let me see if I can get that back in there. So those are my 10 starts, and I think that I can accomplish this. There's no reason I can't accomplish this within the month of May. So those are my mania plans. So 10 new starts, 10 little starts, and hopefully 10 little finishes. So my biggest start is going to be the church, and I shouldn't have any problem finishing that either. I want to thank everyone who's took the time to do Mania plan videos or have shared their Mania plans within their normal videos, because I've enjoyed watching how others think. They're just getting to see new things that I may not have seen before, getting to see their choices and patterns and threads and just how they're going to do Mania. Some are doing Monogamania, some are doing Whip Mania, some are doing Spectator Mania, and I'm just going to do a little Mania. Also, I want to remind everyone about the stitch along that will be starting on June 1st. The pattern that will be stitched is going to be the Needlework Sampler by Sue Hillis. You can find this pattern at Jensstitchingniche, her Etsy shop. I will link that below for you. Someone shared with me last week that the charms, there's charms here, here, and here, and here. So there's 4 squares that have just a charm in it. And shared with me that those can be found on Sue Hillis's website. So I did reach out and order those this week. And there are the charms. There's a few hearts. Let me see if I can spread them out some. They'll want to clump together. There's a tiny little thimble, some stork scissors, a few hearts. And when Sue sent them out, they were attached to this freebie, which is kind of the theme of this stitch along. And that's because of this tomato pincushion here. But I got this as a freebie pattern with my order, and I also ordered this pattern along with it. I've always liked this. I love to decorate for Christmas, and I've liked this pattern ever since I saw Nell of Little Yellow House Crafts. She stitched this a couple years ago, and it's gorgeous. But as far as the stitch along, there's this. Also know that Becky Socks for Mom, I asked her if she would do a floss ring for our stitch along, and I sent her a few pictures of my tomato pincushions collection, and I don't have that many, but she used my pictures as the template for the floss rings. So there's one, and there's the other, and she has these cute little charms on the rings as well. This one has stork scissors. This one has a tiny little thimble, which I love. And I will link Becky's shop below if you're interested in purchasing one of these rings for yourself. I plan on using them for my threads for the pattern. And I'd like to get new threads and possibly have some nice floss cards for them. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the start. Last week I did a giveaway for this, the Needlework sampler pattern, as well as the bag that I made. I had a sister bag to the bag I made for my pattern. And the giveaway winner is Jan McGregor. Now Jan, I have left a comment on your comment from my video last week. But if anyone knows Jan McGregor, will you please reach out to her as well and just let her know to come on over and get in contact with me. My email is linked below, and it's also in the comment to her comment from my last video so that I can get this in the mail to her. If I don't hear back from Jan by Saturday of next week, I will pull another winner from the comments of from my last video and announce that next Sunday. So I would rather Jan go ahead and contact me, but if she doesn't, I will reach out to the next person. Also this week I bought, in addition to those two tomato floss rings, I also purchased Harriet, and these are both from Becky as well, and the red deer. And I purchased this one because it's the law, according to the serial starter. Wait, let me get it right. The sampler stitcher and the serial starter, Brenda and Laura. So I want to follow the law, so I do want to start another red sampler this year, and I'm going to have a red sampler floss ring, and hopefully when the world starts spinning again, I'm going to get a chance to get the perfect red sampler project envelope fabric and get that stitched up, so I'll have a pouch, the ring, for my next red sampler start. That's my plan anyway. So there's that. And I want to thank everyone. My last video, when I announced the giveaway and I asked everyone to share with me their memories, or what memories are associated with a tomato pincushion for you guys. And I was amazed not only at the amount of comments, but they all followed a common thread. Every one of them, 98% of them, were all about maternal love. It made me emotional just reading them. A lot of people mentioned that the tomato pincushion reminded them of home ec class in middle and high school, that they were all given a sewing box and a tomato pincushion. Just sweet, sweet stories. Sweet stories. It's like the tomato pincushion is a symbol of love. And so it's going to forever change the way I look at the pincushion, not just as a symbol of sewing, but the love that's behind it now. So take the time, if you've got 5 or 10 minutes, and just read some of the comments on my last video. Just if you want to pick me up, just if you want to smile, just if you want to think a little deeper than just the everyday, just take a minute to go and read those videos. And with that being said, I want to share with you something. A lot of you mentioned that you had the tomato pincushions from your home ec classes, and this is my mother's home ec sewing box from the 1960s. I actually love the colors of this. As a child, this was one of my treasure chests. So maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I asked her if she still had it, and if she did, could I have it? And she gave it to me, and all the treasures are still inside, so I thought I would share a couple of them with you. I know that many of you have these treasure chests of your own, and they look similar to these and have the same things inside, but like I said, as a child, these were my treasures. So, but I still, that fabric is just everything. But you can see it's well loved and well worn, and I don't want it fixed because this is my memories. So it has an insert in the top, and you can see she's put duct tape to hold it together. It's just a hard paper. There's a pincushion and some wooden spools. And there is some sewing machine needles, a thimble. What is that? There is a measuring tape there rolled up. Inside, here's some scissors. And these are Richards. Never heard of them. But it looks like they could definitely be resharpened. There's a needle card, Sewing Susan. Does anybody know Susan? Here's some, what are these? Rust-proof bra hooks. There's some sewing machine parts here to Mama's machine. I need to let her know they're in here. There's some bias tape. Just some old ribbons. I'm sorry, lace. I can tell you right here, this was from one of my Easter dresses. Mama loved to dress me in yellow, and I remember having a lacy yellow Easter dress that Mama had put one single silver bell in the crinoline of that dress, and I would spin and spin and spin and jump just to hear that bell jingle. I hadn't thought about that in years. There's a chalk pen, another pair of scissors, but guess what else is in here? And I can tell you the last person who touched this and played with this was me. So many of you also shared in the comments how you would play with the pins in the pincushion. And look how I sorted them by size and color and type. So it made me smile because I had this on display in my stitch room. And when I got all those comments from all of you, and knowing I had Mama's home ec pincushion, or I had her home ec sewing box, I decided to see if the tomato pincushion was still in there, and it was. And to my surprise, I was the last one who actually touched it. So we have tomato pincushions, motherly love, sewing. They all have one meaning behind them, and it's love. So today, I'm going to leave you on that note. I'm going to leave you with a little love. I hope everyone has a wonderful coming week. Everyone continues to be healthy and safe as our world starts to spin a little more, as states start to open back up for business. But continue to be safe, protect yourself, protect your family, and cross all the stitches. Until next time, until next week, hugs and stitches, everybody. Bye-bye.